So welcome back to the Chop Shop, everybody. By the way, speaking of that, we've got an official name for the firewood barn out here. We're officially going to call it the Chop Shop. Most people know that as well, where you chop vehicles up, but out here, it's a different story. We're eventually going to get a sawmill, and we're going to be doing lots of firewood and other little side income hobbies out here, all wood related. So we appreciate everybody that got into the name drawing a while back. Y'all gave us a bunch of ideas for names, and 4 people picked the Chop Shop, and that's what we decided to go with. Eventually, we'll get a logo and something else out here, but that's what we're going to refer to this place from now on. And we got a little work to do today in the Chop Shop for my own personal needs, but I've been telling y'all, as soon as we got power out here, which we do now with solar power, by the way, we got some more of those videos coming, well, we can start running powered tools. And a lot of y'all didn't know what I was referring to. So I just ordered me in a 10-inch bandsaw right here from Vevor. Yes, they've typically in the past been a sponsor of the channel, but lately I've just started buying everything with my own money. I don't get no additional discounts or anything like that. I figured I better put my money where my mouth is. And the reason I even bought this, honestly, it was the best price I could find. I looked on Amazon and everywhere else for a larger 10-inch model. I currently have a small 9-inch jet model, and I'll explain why we needed to upgrade. But they had the best price, the reviews look good, so I decided to purchase theirs over somebody else's. So here's the big reason why. I've been cutting up a lot of cooking and smoking wood. We're going to work hard toward that in the future with all the firewood that we produce out here. I'm wanting to get into more specialty woods, bundled woods, pizza oven woods, cooking woods, smoking woods, things such as that, because let's face it, it's a little more enjoyable. It's something different to offer you, the viewer, and there's going to be more money in it, and my time is very valuable. So I do a lot of smoking and cooking like a lot of y'all do, and I use a lot of wood chunks in my gravity smoker, and I also use larger size pieces to put on the bottom tray of my smoker to actually give additional smoke. And I have an Oklahoma Joe offset smoker. A lot of y'all run those, and I like 8 to 10 inch size wood there as well. So the problem, we're out here splitting a standard size 16 to 18 inch firewood for your typical customer, and our firewood's relatively premium stuff, oak and my personal favorite, cherry. So how do we go from the larger 16-inch stuff that we're cutting every day down to some 12 to 14-inch stuff for our solo stove on our back porch, our little outdoor fire pit, or maybe some 8 to 10-inch stuff from my Oklahoma Joe, all the way down to some little cubes like this for my gravity smoker? Well, that would be a nightmare to try to pull all that off with a chainsaw. It takes too much wood out. It gets a bit dangerous cutting smaller stuff that flies around everywhere. That's where a bandsaw really comes in. So that's what we're doing today. We're taking large firewood chunks, my personal stash of cherry, again, my favorite wood. If you are into smoking and cooking, I highly suggest you try cherry. It's got a relatively mild sweet flavor. It colors your meat this kind of same color of the wood, so it gives a good presentation. I just love absolutely everything about it. It dries quick. It's just a perfect wood. So we need to go from chunks this size down to all different kinds of chunks, because I am cooking multiple times this week and I have almost run completely out of my chunks right here. So like I said, the jet bandsaw that I have that a generous viewer gave us, we're going to leave it in the shop for doing woodworking. Problem is, the cutting height of it only cut about 3.5 to 4 inches. And well, for a lot of my wood, I've got much bigger pieces than this, I couldn't get it all the way through. It was binding up, so I had to be very selective on my wood. Well, I don't want to have to be as selective. So the one thing I really liked about this model, it had a higher cutting height than most of the other models I looked at. It didn't matter if it come from Vevor or whoever, I didn't care. But now we can scroll all the way up to a 6-inch cutting height. That'll take care of any piece of firewood that I have that I want to turn into smoking wood or cooking wood. That cutting height was very important to me. Now, if I decide in the future that there's money worth investing in doing the smoking and cooking wood, I'm probably going to upgrade to a gigantic 14-inch model. Those are floor standing models, 200-300 pounds. They're very expensive, but they come with huge 1 horsepower plus motors, and those should be able to rip right through wood. I mean, just quick as I can put it in there, but I can't justify the expense right now. This was a good upgrade to take care of my personal needs and to venture into the world of smoking and cooking wood for customers. And if the demand's really there, well, we're going to upgrade our equipment and everything out here for it. That's also a reason I wanted to go ahead and upgrade the solar in our little equipment room right here. I've got a 6,500 watt inverter in there now, and I'm glad I did it, because if we ever upgrade into larger bandsaws, for example, with huge 1 to 1.5 horsepower motors, we're going to need a very large inverter to be able to run that. So y'all just watch me put this together. I only had to put a few small things on, like the table and a gauge, a little rip fence, things such as that. And you've seen that I also went ahead and changed the blade out on this particular model. I found some relatively affordable ones on Amazon, because the review stated that the blade that come with this one, it was a little thinner, a little smaller, wasn't the world's best. So I want to go ahead and upgrade to one and try it out in case I have any braking issues in the future. Now I've got spare blades up there ready to go, and well, we want better cutting that we can get. Now this is only a 370 watt motor on this. This is not very powerful. Most of the tabletop model ones are not. So we're not gonna be doing quick ripping through here, but it's actually surprisingly fast, at least for my needs. I can fill up a few buckets of smoking wood here in no time, and that'll get me through the next few weeks of cooking. So what I think I'm gonna do is some smaller chunks like this, a bucket full of those that'll mix in with the charcoal on my gravity fed smoker. And then another bucket, we'll do some longer pieces that I tend to put down in the bottom on the ash grate, because we can put bigger pieces in there, and that really just pours the smoke to the smoker. I love, love, love cooking with cherry. Now y'all can see why I built this little workbench out here. By the way, this comes with a full floor stand legs, but I didn't put them on this particular model because my ground's uneven out here, and whenever I stick this in my little room for storage, the legs kind of fan out, take up more room. Kind of wanted to keep this nice and small, and that's one big reason I built this tabletop out here, because I knew I was going to get this. So this gives me a nice little protected work area. Probably be a good idea to put some gloves on too. So this is about as large of a piece of wood as I'll probably be cutting with this. So this is kind of worst case scenario. That's plenty quick enough for me. This is kind of more the size pieces I'm after. And you know what? I really need to be lowering this down to help with that blade. Cut right into a knot on that one. Now this is a huge piece with a bad dot in it. This is probably not going to be enjoyable to cut on this, but this is the size stuff that I could not cut on my last bandsaw. We'll cut this into big chunks for my ash box. That's about all she wants right there, but that's big as I'll ever be cutting. Got some smaller pieces like this, I can probably just rip right through this. Oh yeah. All right, so far that's working great. So not a speed demon as expected, neither was my last bandsaw. You've got to get up in the big high horsepower motor models for that to happen. But again, we're just not ready to invest in that just yet. This is more than going to take care of my needs and a few customers. We start getting a lot of customers, well, we'll change the tools for the job. I know I'm going to be asked, why a bandsaw? Why not a chop saw or something else? Trust me, I've tried it all. First of all, a chainsaw is super aggravating for cutting chunks. You got to band tie and get everything nice and tight together if you're going to cut a bunch of pieces at once. It takes a huge chunk out, makes a mess, and it's a bit dangerous, honestly. The chop saw, I've tried using that method before too. Very dangerous because it's using that big carbide teeth blade. I have found on this uneven stuff, it catches and wants to throw chunks, wants to kind of pull your hand toward it. I do not like using a chop saw. Not at all. So not even a question. I find this so much safer. As long as you keep your hands on either side of the blade, you're nice and safe. This doesn't tend to throw stuff everywhere like the other methods do. Chainsaw works in a pinch, but it's just a lot of time and effort bundling everything together and trying to safely cut everything without the chainsaw just ripping and rolling your bundle out. I love this method. I was about to wrap this episode up, and we've decided we're going to have us a little fire tonight in our solo stove. That's a little small stainless fire pits that you can do on a patio. They're smokeless, and our ceiling's so high the heat never makes it up there and affects it. It's perfect on nights like tonight where the temperature's dropping, but it's not going to be crazy cold. When it gets really cold, we go out to our big fire pit and load it down to get the heat pumping. Problem is, all of this old firewood from last year is cut 18 inches, and you really need about 12 to 14 inch wood to go in the solo stove. So I'm just going to bust these things in half, and they'll fit perfectly in there with no issues. In just that quick, just a few minutes, I have 3 5-gallon buckets full of like the perfect smoking chunks, just completely dry. Speaking of dry, let's check it. I got a new moisture meter, absolutely perfect, ready to go, cherry smoking chunks. And have y'all priced this stuff recently at the store or say on Amazon by the box? Absolutely outrageous. Just a few minutes worth of work right here. There's no telling what that would cost online. Way over $100 if you had in shipping. All right, so I just got me a new firewood moisture meter, and here's the reason why. My last one still works, but the prongs are pitiful on it. They are so thin, they would actually just bend over every time I stick them in firewood. So I got looking on Amazon, found this particular one right here. What the heck is the model number? TS630 by Top Test. I actually have some of their gas meters whenever I was building the house. But this is what intrigued me when I was looking through all the pictures on Amazon at the different models. This one has very thick, and I mean very thick, prongs. Does not look like I could ever bend those. And if I did, it comes with an extra set. All the firewood moisture testers that I've had in the past come with very thin prongs, and they bend almost immediately. The other thing I really like about this one, it lights up. It's got a min and max function, a hold function. This is good whenever I'm trying to show y'all, you know, firewood numbers. I don't have to keep it pressed in a piece of wood while I talk to you. So if I put it on min and max, for example, which I like, stick it into a piece of wood, well, it'll save the min and max for me. I mean, this wood is so dry. It's like 2 years old. All right, and if I pull it off, it holds the number for me. I love that. So as you can see, this firewood is 13.4% moisture. That's insane. That is so dry. That's like the kiln dried stuff that you buy from the big wood yards, you know, to build your house out of. Typically, anything 20% or less works really good. 16, 17 is where I like to be. 13, you almost never see. This is 2-year-old cherry right here, and cherry already dries very quickly. Normally 6 months being racked, my cherry is ready to burn. That's another reason I really love this stuff. I think I'm really gonna like this meter. It was cheap too. And like I always do, if you're curious about the bandsaw or the moisture meter or anything else I think of, I always put links down in the description. Now with that said, all the links I always put are affiliate links. Nobody's ever really mentioned that. If you buy anything off of those links, I earn a small commission, whether it be Amazon or whatever link that I give you. I try to set myself up with affiliate programs. It's a huge part of how we make a living on social media. A lot of the channels that you watch do that, but a lot of them just don't ever mention it. So I'm curious to try this out. I think this is gonna work really good with those thick prongs. That's what looked good in the pictures. That worked. I'm really happy with my purchase here. I think this is going to quickly knock out at least my needs and, like I said, a few customers. Is it a speed demon? No, but it's also very low horsepower as expected. Oh, I really hope this takes off. I can kind of envision building another lean-to off the backside here with a bundle wrapping machine, maybe a big 1-horse 14-inch band saw that can just, quick as you can push through, it'll cut the stuff, but I got to be careful too. I don't need to spend too much money on all this, being that it's kind of just a hobby and more for us, but there is already a demand there. You'd be shocked at how many people I already turned down for cooking wood and firewood because I just haven't got us caught up and then making more to sell. That's the plan. That's what we're doing this year. We're trying to get prepared for next year. And one other reason that we've been hinting around a lot too on the channel, we are starting another channel. A lot of this stuff right here is really going to support our new cooking channel that's coming up. Don't worry, we'll let you know when it's ready to launch. We have a lot of preparations to do for that we're going to include over here. I think it's going to get a lot of y'all excited, but I'm going to need a ton of cooking wood, so to speak.